Hello, everyone. We are here at Epic headquarters. I'm off to a great start. I blame Shelly. I am here with Jim Brown, as always, and we have Aaron Herzog and we have Nate Horsfall, who are both animators here at Epic. And Aaron, you've been at Epic for quite a while.
Yeah, 11, 12 years.
11, 12 years. I remember when I first.
Scion, yeah.
Yeah. when I first. Oh, you were both from Scion?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's awesome. When I first started Epic, we were just a tiny little company, and they had on the Epic Wiki, they had a little thing with all the pictures of all the employees, and I would go in there so I would know what everybody's name is, and I would see your picture, but I never saw you. I was like, is this guy here? And then I remember somebody said, I think he's in Seattle or something. Yep. And so you were working remotely a lot of the time. You were only here like a week out of the month. Is that right?
Yeah, I started that about 6 years ago, I want to say.
Yep, when I first started here.
Yeah, that's about when I started, right before I
go
was
off and get married and have a life and
whatever.
Yeah, because I remember I was like, this guy doesn't work here, does he? And they're like, oh yeah, he works here, and I never saw you. I was like, is this what he looks like? Because back then it was like all new people, so everybody kind of looked the same to me. There was like Pete Hayes and Kevin Lanning were the same person to me in my head, and so it was like. But anyway, so Nate was actually a member of our community, UT 2004 player. He and I used to play, and you have been an animator for how long?
About 13 years.
13 years?
Yeah, mostly contract. I've worked on all sorts of stuff. I worked on True Crime, Sims, Mythica, Incredibles video game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 cinematics, an incredibly terrible show called Xavier Renegade Angel.
Oh, I do remember that.
Did you ever see it? It's we'll talk about that. It's very bad. I was the job's a job. That was on Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network.
A crazy
I
show.
do remember it.
I'll tell you some stories about that show. But basically, I've just done a whole lot of different stuff. And yeah, I was in UT 2004 by the name of Red in that game.
Yep.
In a clan called PSK, or Pot Smoking Killers.
Yeah.
Which is great because I don't smoke pot at all. And they were the nicest people I'd ever played with, and they were just like, "You should join, man."
I imagine they were pretty chill.
They were incredible. They were the nicest, most chill people, but they were ridiculously good.
Yes.
So they would just 20-0 you and be laughing the whole time instead of like, "What's up, noob? You guys suck." And so they were like, "You should join," and I'm like, I don't smoke. And they're like, "It doesn't matter, bro. Come on." And I ended up basically running that clan because, as you might imagine, they're not the most organized people.
But they were great. Well, we were playing before then. We were playing BCTF all the time, and then people started, "Oh, I don't want to play BCTF anymore. I want to just play the shooter stuff." Yeah. And then we found TAM, and we started playing TAM.
Yeah,
and that's
TAM
when we
blew
started
up.
with you and the KHC guys and.
HTM, SBD, KHZ, all those guys.
And
it was great. Yeah.
all these letters.
Random letters. I'm just doing them out.
Oh, Kilowatt, H-Town Madness, Silent but Deadly.
H-Town Madness. Everybody, oh my goodness, I know he's.
They still are around. Yeah, I've seen their. I think they have a
guys
server on this game. HTM.
Oh, right.
I think so.
Yeah. And we used to play like 6 hours a night. So yeah, we.
Oh my God.
So then down the line we kind of ran into each other a few times, and then we started doing Unreal Tournament, and he said, "Hey, I would like to do some animation."
Yeah, as soon as you guys mentioned that this was going to be like when the very first stream ever that was like, "Hey, we're going to do it open development with the community," I was like, "Oh my God," because I've always wanted to do that, and even in the 2004 days, I always wanted to make custom animations, but I had no idea how to do it. It was pretty convoluted. It's not actually less convoluted now, but at the time it was just like this huge tutorial thing about, oh, you need to save it out as you need these special Max plugins and all this. Which, I don't know, man. So I never got around to doing it, but I always wanted to. And so as soon as that went up, I was like, okay, how do I do this? And there wasn't even a rig available, but I found the UT3 rigs because I figured, all right, well, you guys are using the UT3 animations, I can tell. I can probably just use that as a base, and then I just animate a whole bunch of bipeds, which I think you said that you created those, right?
Yeah.
Those old UT.
Yeah, they're from UT3. Yeah.
So I'm just like, sweet. All right, it's a biped. I know how to use biped. I'll just make a whole bunch of these, and then I finally got the rig from Jeremy, after GDC.
And lost all your previous
Yeah,
work.
well, you can't.
Those videos are classic though, because it's like you dancing in your bedroom.
Oh, there's those
It's like
ones
it's
too.
just this whole series of YouTube.
Well, there's
videos
those
of
ones
him dancing
too.
in his bedroom.
As an animator, you record yourself a lot of times doing the motion, and so it's like the very first things. It's like, all right, before I do any animations whatsoever, what do you guys think of all of this? And it's really, it takes like less than an hour to sit there and record dancing and dropping the hat and throwing this gun around and whatever. Whereas if I would actually have to animate it, then that would take a lot longer. And plus, at that point, I still wasn't even sure. From the art side of things, there was a lot of like people would make sketches and people respond, like you get in there or Chris or whatever and be like, oh yeah, I think, yep, good idea, good idea, good idea. With the animation side, it's always been a black hole. People are just like, I'm the only person who posts in there. And then occasionally the community will be like, sweet, keep at it. And that's it.
Well, I mean, the team is so small that we don't have a dedicated.
Yeah.
Especially then, we didn't have anybody. That
No,
was before Aaron
yeah. No, I mean, I get it. Like it was just like, yep, okay, I totally get it. So I'm just going to continue to do my own thing, and then I've been doing the own thing until fairly recently when I just got a contract to come over and work on some more stuff. But
well, Aaron has been great, but he's been working on
lots of things.
Yeah, it's spread pretty thin.
And right now you're doing some Paragon stuff, and so you are basically his lead. And you're kind of handing things over to him. So what we thought at first were you were just going to do some taunts.
Right.
And
taunts are the easiest thing to do because they don't affect anything. It's not like, all right, well, this needs this heavy at a certain frame rate because I need to get back in the game and play this or that or the other thing. But taunts are just, you could do whatever. You could do like a 10-minute taunt if you really wanted to, and then it wouldn't affect anything because you just push the button and you just leave it alone. So it's the most non-destructive way to test things out. And
it's also something that's fun for players as a whole that I haven't had time to do. I'm so focused on the functionality on the time that I do spend on it that I didn't make anything fun for everybody. So it was great to have somebody.
Yeah, it's the way to try to get the character into the game. A lot of times you're just running around. The game moves at such a fast pace. There isn't really time to get like, oh, how do they hold the gun? Like, it doesn't. Can't even see what gun they're using. I'm dead though. It's just like.
Well, one of the things that I'm looking forward to, and I hope we get to the point where it's more like UC2. You did a really good job of giving everybody their own individual personality with slightly different runs, slightly different jump. Just the things that they did were standard across the board, but each character kind of had their own version of that.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm hoping we can do something like that where team captains have something that is unique to them, or the Scar has a slightly different run, like a more animal style run, or something. I would love to get that stuff in at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Time
that
to start adding character.
Yeah, it just adds so much more to the game. Those things are just sort of things that just really give it more of a feel. Like these characters are different. They physically look different, so they shouldn't be running the same. Yeah.
And, well, it's a weird gameplay balance thing where you want them to have unique personality, but just the slightest difference can be like, oh, well, that's a disadvantage.
Yep.
So
I mean, like the Scar, the easiest right off the bat, like the Scar should run slower. Like his movement should be more like heavy, right? But
the reason that we did the reason we did the Scar Trooper was because he was more human sized.
Right.
As opposed to the big, giant, broad-shouldered guy who's supposed to be, like 12 feet tall, doing flips all over the place, which would be cool for a game type or a class-based thing down the road, maybe. But for just standard UT play, that's.
So, do you know how we started doing taunts? I just thought that was so amazing back in the first UT.
It was just a UT 99 thing. I don't know, it was before my time.
Yeah, I always thought that was so amazing. So every UT, I was just waited to see the taunts. The taunts at the
end of the game,
And so many games are doing it now. I mean, every game you play now, you see they have taunts in the games.
It added. It's because you need to get personality in the game, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't really get it any other way than that. And plus, you guys are here much longer than I was on those games, but my guess is that at the end of the match, you'd just be standing around, the players just here. It's like, I want to be able to do something, right?
Yeah. Besides teabagging guys. That might have even been where I had started.
For the guys, it was taunting. For the girls, let's dance.
Right.
So here's another person who you were in the community. You were doing stuff for us just because you wanted to have some stuff in the game.
Yeah.
And we wound up bringing them on.
Yeah, my MO from the very beginning was nobody cares about animation, so I'm just gonna be off in my corner making
That's
as
didn't
many.
care. That's not
No,
a fair
not you
statement.
guys.
That's not a fair
Not you
statement.
guys. Like nobody in the community seems to really like. There's
no.
there's like in the UT thread. It's just fun stuff. There's a couple people that are like, "Here's my demo reel." It's like, sweet. Are you gonna
You do
make
something?
anything?
Yeah.
No. All right. And so everybody else, like particularly on the art side of things, like the flat canon, the character designs, things like that, like hundreds of posts about that. But on the animation side, it's a very dead thing. So I'm just like, well, that's cool. I'm just going to be in my corner working on these.
Well,
We can force them to
Forever.
get more involved. Just take their models and put really crappy animations on it. And
Well,
then they'll be involved.
so the sniper rifle animation,
Mhm.
people do notice. I just don't think that they know
Oh, yeah.
to talk about it because
Yeah.
one of my friends said, you know, I love the new sniper rifle and I love the animation, but there's something weird. It should be more melodic. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Melodic.
You know, because I have these
Yeah.
friends that are just like so about, games and,
Sure.
they really dive into the mechanics, everything. They said, when you reload the sniper rifle, every time it's just like, it should be more.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
we went back and
I will
forth.
tell Aaron it should be. and he did. You guys went back in and you.
Nice.
did
We
some
went back and
stuff
forth a
right?
lot. Me and Pete Hayes and Steve trying to kind of figure out, like, give each weapon a rhythm.
Mhm.
And it was a whole chicken and egg thing. It was like, do we want to animate to the sound or create the sound to the animation?
Right.
And I don't know. I still don't know what's best.
Sure.
I guess it's whatever you guys work best from.
Yeah, I mean, like if you get some really cool sound effects, then it's as an animator, it's like, sweet, this is inspiring as hell. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you make it yourself and there isn't anything to go on, then
Right.
the sound effect guy could be like, oh, awesome, that's gonna.
Well, it's just nice to not have to look. When you're in
You
combat, you
just-
can
you
hear
know by
that,
the
or out of the
sounds.
corner of your eyes, you can kind of
Mhm.
see that rhythm of whatever the gun is doing.
Because you had that active reload, like in Gears. You had that.
Yeah.
You would look and see that out of the corner of your eye, and
Or you
with
just
other
get,
games,
you get a
just
feel
that
for it
sound-
based
yeah.
on the sound of when to hit the button.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing here. You know when you can fire again based on the
Yeah.
rhythm of that sound. So
Totally.
But the animation is super cool.
Thank you.
Everybody seems to love the sniper rifle.
Awesome.
yeah.
No,
Best rifle.
it's still not even finished, too.
Oh, yeah. Maybe soon.
yeah.
Someday.
Maybe someday. So you're working on right now. Where do so you're both here this week, which is like a really rare occurrence.
Right.
Plan
We're
is
I'm in
lined
San
out, but-
Francisco and
Yep.
he's in Seattle.
Yeah.
So you guys are both here this week, and are you teaching him more about our process?
Yeah, I mean, I'm making sure that, he gets to know people more, like in person, and then is just understanding how we do it. And then basically, I'm going to be doing all the crap grunt work of implementing his cool stuff.
And he gets to do the
yeah.
fun
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, pretty
Thank
much.
God.
Being a lead.
Yeah.
So what programs do you use for your process?
Well, I just stick to Maya and UE4. Do you use anything else?
No, I mean, like in the very beginning when I was using your earlier stuff, it was Max, right?
Yeah,
But,
I guess.
But now it's Maya 2014. And then the tool specifically, there's a specific art tool that Epic created that has what we have to use.
Yeah.
So you need to have that. Yeah, I don't really. Some people will do like little 2D sketches and things like that. I don't really do much of that.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
either.
once I'm in the computer, I just animate the thing.
Back in the old days when people used to do storyboards.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's some
there's
storyboards.
there's absolutely a value in that. I just find usually for time efficiency,
Mhm.
for better or for worse, like it's much easier for me to just get into the computer and just start working with it. There's a lot to be said about if you're really good, like truly a master at it, you can just plan it all out. And then when you go to the computer, you just basically fill in the blanks and you're done. Whereas for me, whenever I'm animating with it, I'll try something and be like, no, I'll try something else. No. And eventually I'll usually get to where I want it to be. And that still is quicker than most in that regard, because a lot of people really spend time getting like the perfect pose and then they'll time that out and whatnot. But I usually work more rough. And that's just because my background has always been, particularly with contract work, is like get it done as fast as freaking
Yeah,
possible.
that's
Yeah.
exactly where it comes from. Is just you just start working and you put in rough stuff because there's there's other things besides a perfect animation. If you spend all this time making a perfect animation and then put it in, there's going to be something wrong with it that you just wasted a bunch of time doing when it comes to implementation.
How it blends with the timing.
Yeah, exactly. So you just got to get it in and always get a not final animation in. You're saving time doing that.
Yeah, I usually get myself into trouble because I'll be animating something and go, just make this really rough. And then as I'm working on it, I'll start to enjoy working on it and be like, oh man, I really need to. I'll just a little bit more of the fingers, a little bit, and then if I could just that one, and then like 5 hours later, it's.
The downside to that though is there's a lot of rough stuff that ends up staying in the game when you do it that way just because of time. Yeah.
Right.
So do we have a roadmap? Because a lot of people, will mention that we have some of the UT3 animations in there. Or do we plan on replacing everything over time, or?
So the way our project works is a little different than at least what I'm typically used to with game development, and we kind of do what we can in the moment because we have limited resources, and we're never sure when Aaron's going to be available or when we're going to have
Aaron do all the
or when Epic is going to do something else incredible that we share resources, and so we may have someone for a short amount of time. And anyway, so it's a little bit more difficult to do those longer term plans. So like now that Nate is here, we can bang out a bunch of stuff that we've been waiting on doing, like the weapon inspects and first-person taunts and things like that, which we didn't know when we were going to have that time to do them, but they've been on the roadmap for a while. So
yeah, no, we were talking to Steve a couple days ago, and he had a little mini list off to the side, and literally until this week, everything that what do you guys want? Just taunts.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, here's all this other stuff. Okay, all right.
Which is funny, like how long ago did we make that list? Months?
Absolutely months ago.
But it's a wish list, right? It's like, cool, when we get the resources, let's do this.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not only that, it's like you could spend all day doing taunts, but if we didn't have a system to put taunts in the game, it wouldn't be worth doing. So that's a big part of it, is we have to have all the different systems working together.
So a couple months ago now, after GDC, you were at GDC, and we got you a pass since you were out there anyway, and we kind of like said, hey, why don't you hang around a little bit more? And then Jim and I took off, and we went and hung out in the Valve booth.
GDC was fun because it was just like, I live in San Francisco. It was there. I said, you guys want to get lunch? And you're like, here's a pass. Why don't you just come hang out? And I still had a full-time job too, so it was just like, hey guys, is it cool if I just go away for a couple of days? Like, sure, whatever. Because similarly to here, I have a list, and as long as I get through the list, nobody cares about when you do it or whatever. And so at Gazillion, the last job that I was at, there was a characters. Here's Rocket Raccoon, here's Ultron, here's whatever, and then you just know this is the time frame you have to get Ultron done. And if you take 4 days to go to GDC or wherever,
we don't care.
Just be away, as long as it's done, it doesn't matter. And that's usually what I'll do is, I'm pretty good at just being like, all right, well, I just need to knuckle down and work on this thing for 16 hours and just get it done.
Well, it's been absolutely great having you here. Things just one led things onto another. I know a couple months ago you said, hey, I want to start doing some taunts, and you were live streaming, and I was giving suggestions, and he was doing my taunts right there, and I was really excited about that.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, this is what I want to do.
in his bedroom.
Yeah.
Risky business.
And so people can do that too.
They can. I mean, I stopped streaming because working with the rig is not like biped. I used biped forever, and it's like easy. It's like second nature for me to use biped, not an issue. I didn't want my streams to be like, God, why is the IK? God, Jeremy. And so I wanted to really, really get my head around the rig. And in some ways it's still not quite there, but regardless, a lot closer where I can feel comfortable opening up and being like, all right, I'm going to animate this thing.
And people can come to the forums too and give
you I mean, I personally, especially with taunts, I want everybody's suggestion, like everything. Like, oh, what do you want? You want dances? You want this thing? You want something with the enforcer? You want what I try to do is make a bunch of things that I call it more emotes rather than taunts, where it's like a face palm, which is not really like a taunt.
That's what they did with Blacklight.
Yeah, and, or like, maybe like you pretend you're scared or all this kind of stuff. Maybe that comes from my Sims background, but like I like the idea that I always thought at the end of the game, the only options you have are to just pretend like you're taunting, even if you lost, and everybody's around you and you're in the middle. and maybe there are other people over here don't want to just do pelvic thrust. Maybe they want to face palm. Maybe there is a dance where you're like doing some really funny looking dance, and then you have everybody around you just face palming. That would just be really fun. But I don't know the sort of implementation as far as that stuff goes. So I'm just like, here's some ideas. Here's this, and here's that, and just try to get as many ideas out there as possible, basically.
Well,
and
let's take a look at some ideas.
Yeah.
So you can.
All right. So here, one of the things that we didn't mention, but we'll talk about it right now, is first-person taunts. This is something that Epic has specifically asked for and actually getting work and implementing. So this is basically you're just going like boom, like you blew somebody up, like boom. Just thought that'd be kind of fun.
Cool. So like when you blow a shock ball
blow up shock rifle,
face.
hit somebody with a rocket, whatever. You just like.
Yeah.
It's like that whole thing where you reach out and pinch somebody.
Yeah. Exactly. This is pretty self-explanatory. Just like, yep, job well done. And a lot of these.
I like this one.
A lot of these animations, for what it's worth, are I don't know the style of particularly of where we want to go with it. I actually want to talk to Chris about it later, because I think right now most of these kind of lean more towards TF2 style. They're a little bit more cartoony, just because that's the kind of job I just came off of, so I'm still in that mindset. And B, I just kind of lean towards that because cartoony animation is a lot of fun. Get those really cool curves and all that kind of stuff. There's no squash and stretch.
Yeah.
But still, just the timing of things to get that, like, kind of cartoony movement. Yeah. So I'll probably tone some of this stuff down. This is very much cartoony, like, see you later. This is a fun one.
That looks like a TF2 taunt to me. Like you had to think something scouty.
See ya. Yeah, I have another variation of that one too, where it's like a lot of these ones are very easily modified. So it's like that's a salute. It's kind of a sarcastic like, or you could just do
a real salute.
Change it and actually go.
Sure, and with the
it would only take like an hour to change that to something
very
else.
Cool.
So it's really easy.
No.
This is one based off of one of the taunts already like that exists in the game, doesn't it? I believe.
Yeah, I think the Scar that's that. Yeah, he does.
It was a third-person one in UT3, but I don't know if it's in our game right now.
I don't know.
I know we used it in one of our videos.
Yeah, I thought I saw it in one of the videos. Scars goes like this.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a modification on that one, basically.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah, well, it's the Necris. I'm using the Scars model because I didn't have first-person Necris hand.
Oh, yeah, that's very cool.
But, like, I had no idea what to do with the Necris whatsoever. And so
that's why I said Jim's
like,
good.
Just creepy and weird and all this, like, the Necris is what I remember from 2K4, but it's not the same at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right. And you can do really fun stuff with the hands, right? So just trying to make
it's cool. It used to be the whole hands would do.
The blocks.
Yeah, the block hands.
Yeah. So it's fun.
That's the thing. And
this is a good one.
These aren't necessarily for everybody. Like some of these will be specific to a specific character or a specific.
Yeah.
You unlock them or buy them or however you do it.
So that Enforcer spin would be specific to an Enforcer, but probably not the Necris. I don't know. That feels a little bit too jovial for the Necris.
That's
So this is awesome. Then you have this.
Oh yeah. So at Epic, they have this Nerf gun, which was at my desk. Was that on purpose?
It's mine actually.
Because it looks exactly like the Enforcer.
Well, and not to mention we have huge Nerf wars.
Yeah. I think that somebody in the community should recreate a skin for the Enforcer to look exactly like this Nerf gun.
It'd be cool to replace all the
Nerf
guns.
Yeah, they should. Somebody should make a mod that is just all Nerf gun weapons. If I knew how to model / texture, I would do it. I used to, but
we do have custom weapon skins in the game now. So actually, that's what this taunt show is showing right now.
Right.
We want to add weapon specs so that you can look at your weapon skin.
So is that like an idle animation?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So like this is a shorter version. I think there's a longer version as well after that, which is So this is like. And this is also not final for what it's worth. None of this stuff is final. So there's a part near the end of it where he like pointed at his face, which people thought was pretty silly.
Let's not shoot ourselves in the
face. Well, the idea, it's like, okay, you're showing off your weapon skin, right? So somebody could put some crazy cool thing on there. You're never going to see it. So how do you do
Never
that?
A smart move.
Never.
Send you to gun safety training.
Well, there is a safety on the Enforcer. Just make sure that it's on and then do that. But no,
that actually
really.
might be kind of cool
Yeah,
if you
there you
purposefully
go.
flip it
You
on.
flip
before
it
you
and then turn it around. Yeah, but so yeah, those ones were about showing it off.
So this I love, the reload thing.
This
really
is
cool.
this is just sort of like the idea behind it. At least my understanding was basically like if you're not moving around, this might happen. Like if you're just standing there. A couple of the games
So
have done this
cool.
before. I think even like early Call of Duty games were doing this kind of stuff where it's like they just
That's way cool.
just sit there and then the character will start screwing around. I think I want to say Jedi Knight had some pretty crazy stuff like that where it's like out of nowhere you just start like force holding the gun for no reason.
Right.
And you're like, wait, what? I always really liked the animations and that kind of stuff in games where, particularly the old school ones in the 16-bit era, like if you didn't touch the controller, sometimes
Yeah, you walk away
like,
and you come back and they would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, it's so cool. He's like talking to me.
Yeah.
We had a whole system in Gears at one point for animations and audio that would go off. Like, hello, are you still there? But it broke that third wall where it's like the character was talking to you as a play. Anyway, I don't think we ended up shipping it in any of our maps. But the system was in there.
Yeah, they're fun. So this is the silliest thing I could come up with.
This is amazing.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
People either think that that's way too stupid or that it's the best thing ever.
It all depends on the character.
It was like 3 a.m. I got this idea and I felt compelled to make it, and I feel like you could. Some of these ones too, like that one, you could simplify it a lot. And if it was too stupid, you could just simplify it to be like flick, land, done. Simple. It doesn't need to be this like, and I even have a version of that which is not on this thing where I was screwing around with animating the other hand, where he like pretends like it's a magic trick or something. He's just like.
Well, when you're idle, you do idle things. You know?
Exactly. It's just like you're standing around. I mean, granted, if you stand around, you're probably going to die, so probably won't see most of these. But
they're very cool.
Yeah.
So,
this is a shock rifle thing. One of the guys suggested.
Oh gosh, Matt. This is Matt's. This is from Matt.
Suggested to like have the shock rifle at the very end there, like jerk your hand back and be like, "Ow!" Should be kind of fun.
Zap you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And when he suggested that, I thought about doing another one where it's like you kind of reach your hand towards it, like, is that hot? And then you have to actually test it to see if it's hot. And of course it is, because that's what you do, right? If your hands, you're like, is that? I can
hot?
physically feel that it's hot, but
I'm gonna touch it anyway.
Oh, us humans.
Yeah.
We do.
I love this one.
This is fun. So
I totally failed you on this because I liked it too. I thought it was really good, and I failed to mention and completely forgot that is a hologram. It's not glass. So like,
the model doesn't look like a hologram.
Yeah, and I didn't give him textures or anything to even show
It
that was a
could still work.
possibility. So
You can stick your finger through
it. Well, so those things actually move. I was thinking maybe you could go up and like
push it
in and out, and like it'll stretch the image. I don't know.
That was really funny. We were looking at it yesterday, and it was like, wait, is that a hologram?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I knew that too.
This isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
I think the flak has a counter on it too, and that one's not a hologram, so you can.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it is a hologram, what you could do too is like the idle animation could be that the counter just like fuzzes out for a second, and you just.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. It's working again.
So that's what we saw in the early animations, where was you standing like Jim said in your bedroom doing all these things.
Smacking the gun, throwing it on the ground. Some of these ones, like this one too,
That's a
like
good
I
one.
can't physically do that, so I just have to kind of be like, is this how it would work? I hope. I don't know. Maybe. This is a kind of a combination of like this is the most normal-ish looking one where it's like it's got a little bit of flair, but it's not so stupid like the rocket launcher where he's like flicking it and like catching it on the gun or something like that. Like it could do all those things. But yeah, that was a pretty fun one. Those are the shock rifle ones, the rocket ones. These are third-person taunts.
Yeah.
So that there's a cutthroat that's already in the game already, and this is way back. Like I think I made that taunt.
Actually, I like
6
this one
months ago.
Yeah, me too. This was.
There's another one that you did, but I like this one.
Yeah, there's another one where he just does like a really quick like throat. And so it's just like, all right,
snaps.
just that was actually kind of one of the simpler ones that I did to test the rig out to see how can I use this rig before I start doing crazier things with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing that was actually quite tricky because it's like you have to switch it from IK to FK. I want to eventually get that in the game. It's not there yet.
For people who are unclear, that's supposed to be the
That's a flag. Yeah.
We want to do flag-specific taunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's
we
not the
told
right
people
idle
that, yeah, we wanna
pose,
do something.
and animating with the flag is a pain in the ass, but eventually I would love to have that.
Yeah, I love that one. That was pretty amazing.
Yes.
Although you got to do a windmill too.
Oh yeah,
So that would be sweet.
like that's the
Yeah.
UT99 pose. That was the very first.
So this was
one that I thought
my
of.
absolute favorite one. I saw this and I was like, a little tear came to my eye. I love this.
You know what's really funny about it is that it was actually a little bit tricky to make that pose because the poster, they're standing on like a mountain,
Yeah.
and so their leg is not the same. And so like to get it to feel normal, it was like, why would you do that? Why would you stand together like this and then do that? But yeah, it worked out.
Love
So yeah, eventually those will get in there.
it.
This is, out of all the taunts, just for the record, this is my personal favorite.
Yeah.
This is what I always want to do at the end of a match.
This is probably going to be Pete Hayes' favorite.
Yeah, Pete already mentioned that he
Yeah.
likes that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
This is your favorite.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
good.
This is a pretty rough one too, so I need to do more work to it. But
Something about the angle of the wrist. I don't know. It's,
yeah,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
look down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's something weird there. But I do like the idea.
yeah. No, there's a bunch of them. Oh, yeah. So this is like the emotes.
I love it.
It was important to reference the Picard meme. That was what I used.
Go internet. Go internet.
Well, there's actually a Han Solo face palm out there now.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
It's pretty good too, but
Yep.
yeah, these are amazing.
These are some ones that I did over the last few weeks. Over Christmas, basically.
Yeah, that's good.
Some scar kind of taunts. This is like an example where it's like it might be a little bit too snappy, like when he comes in and out, and it could just be a little bit too cartoony for the kind of stuff. But it's very easy to tone that stuff back.
Mm-hmm.
My tend of a process is to go way over the top on something, and then
scale it
somebody
down.
says like, okay,
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
scale it back. Because if you don't go far enough, then somebody's like, it's not quite there. It's missing something. It's missing something. You're like, God.
Yeah, usually the rule of thumb is you take it as far as you think you should, and then you just go one level past that,
Right.
and then everyone tends to like it.
Yeah.
Especially in a game like UT where we don't really take ourselves very seriously.
Yeah.
Right. Which is funny because like the models themselves are ultra serious. Like
Oh,
I look
yeah.
at the renders on the wall and stuff, and I'm like, God, like I'm picturing some of these animations that I made on these models, and I'm going, that doesn't.
can't do that.
It doesn't
She
work
looks very
at all.
serious. I don't think she.
Yeah, but then they say things like, "You just shot my ass."
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Flip the rocket.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the only Necros taunt that I could come up with at the moment. I got some other ones. I literally messaged Stacy one day. I was like, give me some Necros taunts. I don't understand these characters. One of your suggestions, which would be really cool to get actually like effect support on it, would be to like break the gun in half. Her idea was to just make the motion of breaking,
Like I'm
I'm gonna
breaking
break
you in half.
But I think it'd be fun to just break it in half because we're talking about having the weapons like phase in and out when you switch to them, so you could just be like break this and then just another one just appears or whatever.
You should probably also look at some of the UC2 stuff where they like flow the nanoblack down onto their hands and then flow it back in, so
Nice.
you can just do.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
UC2 stuff was some really, really awesome character stuff. Like it just like out of all the Unreal Tournament stuff,
We have somebody to blame for that, right?
it really like
Reward.
out of all of. Were you the main
Two things.
person on that?
Me and Jay, we both did characters, but I did the Necros female one that he's talking about, making the guns float and
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah, because
That was
like as we were talking about, the problem with these games is that you can't really get as much personality into them. It's just not possible. But the UC2 stuff had like all the characters had tons of personality on.
Yeah, well, that was a very different game. And
Right.
Every character
It was a
has
lot slower.
animations, specific effects,
Right.
specific abilities,
Yeah,
exactly.
specific voice for
Yeah.
every character. Like everything was very unique, so we were able to make those characters
Yeah.
into
Characters.
characters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You guys must not have had lives back then. The game is just like there's so much.
Yeah.
There was a lot in that game.
Yeah. So it's definitely worthwhile to look into that for sure. That's another.
I love that one. This one always strikes me like, my God, that rocket launcher is huge.
It's so huge. The first
You
time,
don't realize how big it is.
the first time that I got it,
Yeah, welcome to our world.
it
Moving
imported
around.
into the my file, and I was like, oh, I broke it. Like it didn't come in properly, and I was typing up a message to Aaron to be like, I think the rocket launcher is scaling improperly, and then I stopped and I went to a render and I looked at it and I was like, nope.
But I mean, when you think about it, that's
Yeah,
probably
I mean,
the size
it is a
it would
rocket
be.
launcher.
Yeah, yeah.
so
Launching rockets.
yeah, it's
not-
huge.
Not peanuts.
How big is a handheld rocket launcher?
yeah, exactly.
Sure.
I think they can carry them on their shoulders, right? So, yeah.
This is
Oh,
fun.
yeah, this is good.
Like, I saw a stream a couple weeks ago where one of the guys had made like a big claw for
Yeah,
the scar.
the scar from the original Unreal has the
It's a big
retractable
claw,
claws.
and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to do stuff with that claw." So this is like slash in the ground, map a spark. Somebody else in the community suggested doing like a sharpening your claws, like a double claw thing. I think that'd be really cool. Kind of
Yeah,
like
that would be very
like
cool.
Wolverine. So I want to do that.
Unreal 2 had some scar idle animations. Them doing weird things.
Possibly
I do
Yeah.
this in my bar class, I think.
this one, double slash.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
I think out of the taunts that I've done up to now, this is probably the like most basically finished because it's quick, it gets the job done, and then it gets back into an idle that doesn't feel like he's forcibly
Forced.
getting back into idle. Like it feels natural. He's got this little
Mhm.
hop to it. So that was kind of nice. And if you have these big claws, you could also even have like a little effect that trails like through the screen really quick, like it's Wolverine.
Maybe
Kind
like
of.
X screen.
Yeah.
X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Cool.
all.
So
Oh, what
that's
about
all.
the other scar one?
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Oh,
Are there other ones?
go, Jim.
No,
Go,
Yeah.
Jim. Where you going, Clint?
No, that was the last
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
I didn't give Shelly every single animation.
Okay.
There's like this is like half of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know how long is.
Well, the other scar one that I liked was the one you did based off of Chris's pose that we
Oh,
used.
yeah.
Where
Oh,
he
that-
jumps down with
yeah,
the
yeah,
rocket
yeah.
launcher
So-
and throws
Oh, yeah.
one leg out.
So I specifically got that pose.
Yeah.
I think from you.
Yeah.
I had him get me that pose, and the problem we have at the moment with it is just like we don't know how to like. Is it a taunt? Is it a pose? Aaron had some ideas about trying to make it a little bit more flow to it, things like that. But it's a work in progress. But for sure, I saw that pose and I was like, I want to directly use it. It just looks
cool.
like a cool pose. But yeah, that's about.
Chris
That's about
has
half of them.
has a very good eye for finding that pose for screenshots or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Like, he's
Yeah.
really, really good at that.
That Chris Brain, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I give him like
His monster
25
brain.
of them, and then he,
Monster Brain.
and if like one isn't the right one, he wants 25 more.
That's a show.
And then he
I
picks
guess,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's a whole bunch more of them, and there will be even more of them.
So we kind of have a challenge to people to get in the forums and talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, any ideas? I mean, for what it's worth, just FYI, a lot of people have been asking for dances, and I think that dances are great. We've been talking about trying to mocap dances. That'd be the best way to do it because dances are really complicated. It's not to say that I couldn't animate a dance, but again, with limited time and resources,
Yeah.
you know, you might as well just get somebody in a suit and do a really fun, crazy dance or whatever, and it's just easier that way. It's just done.
Yeah.
You can put it in there, no problem.
So one suggestion somebody said was if you have one and you can't tell people what it is, you're trying to explain it, you can't just take a video of it.
Yeah.
Take a video of your,
Yeah, I made those
doing it.
videos, dance in my room, and it's like people are gonna make fun of it, but this is what you do as an animator.
Well, I was
man.
gonna say like, a lot of times you don't want somebody who can dance really well. You want just the average person out
Right.
there who trips and falls on themselves.
Right.
Like that's the
That's
good
what you
stuff
want.
to animate. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to explain to. I was like, no, the fist thing, like the kid. So it's much easier for me. No, this.
Yeah. Well, that's what's funny too is like this one. There's so many variations that you can do on this, right? Even just you can do like this. You can do like this. You can do double, and you can have all of them, and they could all be valid in different ways. Different characters, like the Necros, could do it in a specific way. Like it could just be like, it's a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The scar could just be like like this, or a grunt
And
kind
the
of
cut
thing.
himself because of his.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's so many different ways to do that stuff, and it's actually pretty quick to make variations on them. So it's totally worth exploring all those sorts of options for sure. And Destiny actually has a really fun one I saw that where they like jump up in the air and they go like this. They jump off the ground and do this little like kick thing, and and then they go like this. It's,
No, let's say it's
clearly
funny to play it.
mocapped, but it looks really good.
Yeah, well, there's any game you play now, you look and you're like, that's from UT.
UT was one of, if not the first to do that. So
Taunts,
yeah, and another thing is ideas that we have that we put in the forums. I'll see, Call of Duty that they'll pop up. And I'm like,
well, it's just
we just
expressions,
talked about
right?
that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
thought of it. Too.
TF2 has some of the craziest taunts I've ever seen. Somebody in the forums posted.
Oh,
about,
they're
like,
amazing.
Have you ever seen the TF2 taunts? And I was like, no. And they showed me. There's this one called Rancho Relaxo. Have you seen this? They freaking pull out a lawn chair. They unfold it. They sit down in the lawn chair, and then they bring up like a thing, and then they sip it. And it's an infinite loop until you cancel out of it, and then they like jump out and like compacts into a briefcase. It's ridiculous. So basically, like what you could do in that game is for the engineers. So you would set up a turret and then just put this taunt up, and you just sit there like this while the turret is killing everybody. And then when somebody is ready to actually come kill you, then you get out of the taunt. But in the meantime, you're sitting there in this lawn chair, and everybody's being mowed down. I mean, it's
that's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I like it. So you guys are both here till the end of the week, and then you're up to Neverland
and then back
again.
to our respective cities.
And you're on contract now, so you're going to be working with us for a while.
for a couple more months. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. There's as many things we can possibly fit in, and we're interested in looking at what other games done. We were talking briefly about like taunts where you can interact with another player. Like you hold your hand up in the air, and then it's like the Portal 2 thing where you're like, "Yo, high five," and then they walk up and they high five. I mean, I think that stuff is awesome.
Well, that's one of the things that.
Do you remember the bro hug? Did you?
No.
Was it bro hug?
We had a bro hug in Gears that we didn't ship.
Oh,
because
of course.
It was so corny. Like you'd run up and hug each other.
Yeah, it was great. And in the first UT, one of the things that we did all the time was we would dance. We would sit there and taunt, and we would dance, or we would talk back and forth with each other because there were so many voice commands.
Oh yeah.
I'm on fire, burn, baby.
Right.
Just go back and forth. So I think people do like especially when they're playing casually, they like that interaction.
It's one of those things that is very easy to just kind of like not even think about, but it adds so much to those games. Mm-hmm. Like the Portal 2 thing, the menu, the little menu where you can do all these little taunts like rock, paper, scissors and whatnot. Mm. The first time that I ever saw it, I was like, oh, that's cute. And then every single time that me and my brother would beat one of these levels, we'd always do rock, paper, scissors. It was a thing. And he would always lose because for some reason the code in that game makes the second player lose like 90% of the time. And he'd be like, you lost again. Then you smack him in the face and then you run away. It's just like, it's not like a gameplay thing, but it adds so much more to the game. And I think there's a lot of room for that.
Sure, especially when you can't, because when you're sitting in a room with somebody and they beat you.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do
when
that.
You're playing live. But this gives you a little way
to type it in there.
Say,
exactly. Yep.
All right, everybody. We will see you on the live stream Wednesday at 2:00 Eastern. And make sure every other week you watch Zacubus, who's live streaming whatever, right?
Yeah,
whatever.
I think he's doing a
matches, or game reviews, all sorts of things.
All kinds of Zacubus things, and it's going to be very posh.
Posh.
Yes, Zacubus is posh.
His accent.
All right, everyone, take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.